is Hannah, and I am here to review EF Ultimate Break's trip to Bali. This trip is called Bali Tropical Escape on their website. It is a 10-day trip that explores Seminyak, Ubud, and Nusa Dua, so let's get into it. This was my 7th trip with EF Ultimate Break, and full disclosure, I am an ambassador for them because I love traveling with EF so much. If you are unfamiliar, EF Ultimate Break serves anyone from ages 18 to 35, and they have trips all over the world. They have various trip lengths, dates, adventures, styles of trips, so just go on their website, check out where all they travel to, and to help you out, I have a $100 off discount code, which is UAHannah100. It has to be combined with the link in the description below to activate the code, and that can get yourself $100 off, even off of sale. So go ahead, check out EF's site, and let's get into Bali. Let's start off with flights. Just keep in mind, obviously it takes quite a long time to get to Asia, so my flight path was pretty extreme. There were a lot of long flights. You just have to know that going into flying into Asia. But my flight path was Indianapolis to JFK, a couple hours, JFK to Doha, which was about 12 hours, and then Doha all the way to Bali, which was another 10 hours. It was pretty brutal, I'm not even gonna lie. On the way home, I had the exact flight path. Now let's get into a little bit more about the itinerary. It is a 10-day trip. Yes, 3 full days are taken up by travel, just getting there and getting home. So you really have about 7 days in Bali. We spent a few days in Seminyak, a few days in Ubud, and a few days in Nusa Dua. So I really felt like we got to see a lot of the island. So technically day 3, but day 1 of the tour was the first full day. We were super tired from our really long flights, but we got up early and just went right into it. So I started my morning off at Kind. It's the popular smoothie bowl place on Instagram. It has beautiful pink walls and really cute designs. It was a great way to ease into our day, and it was walking distance from our hotel. Then the next thing is Body Works, the spa in Bali. And let me just tell you, it was one of the most beautiful places I have ever been. We had a little bit of free time before our welcome lunch the first day because the travel day was so long. We didn't have a welcome dinner, rather a welcome lunch. I can't even describe to you how beautiful this place was. The customer service was amazing. They really took care of us, and I got a foot massage. It was very comfortable. After a long day of traveling, my feet were pretty swollen, so it was amazing just to again ease into the day, have a massage. I really think the foot massage was about $25 US, which was so cheap. It was an hour long. It was about a 15-minute walking distance from our hotel. Then after we got back from our smoothie bowl and massage, we went straight into the welcome lunch, which was back at the hotel. They had a great selection of all kinds of foods, and I thought it was really great that it was included with the trip. Then we headed out after that to visit a few temples. So we first started off in Tanalat, which was a temple on an island in the middle of the water. It was absolutely gorgeous. We really lucked out in this weather. To be honest, we went in January, and that what is considered wet season, but I will tell you it rained maybe for a couple hours on 2 of the days of the trip, and that's it. We had perfect weather. So this really helped in how beautiful the temples really were that day. Again, we started with Tanalat, and then we went to another temple in the afternoon and explored. It was just unbelievable. Really, the reason I went to Bali was to see some of these beautiful exotic temples, and you really get that during your entire trip here. And then as the day was over, we came back to the hotel and just chilled out a little bit, and then we were able to have a sunset dinner at one of the locations again that was in walking distance of the hotel. The next day, which was day 4, was a free day in Seminyak. You could do whatever you would like, but the tour director offered an optional 5-stop tour on Nusa Dua Island. And this includes very famous places that you might be familiar with, like Angel's Billabong Island, the Broken Beach, famous T-Rex Island, Kelkeling Beach, and we ended at a beach as well. So we made 5 stops along the way. The price was $65 US, which included all transfers to each of the 5 stops, and then back home, if you wanted to add a massage after you were done, it was $140 US total. Pretty much the entire group chose to do this. So we were able to board the boat that took us to the island, and then we got in cars to take us to each one of the stops. I will say, If you get car sick, if you are very sensitive to motion sickness, then I would definitely take Dramamine or whatever medicine, because we were rocking pretty much the whole day. We got on the boat, it was super rocky, but manageable, and we got onto the island, and then you are in cars for 30, 45 minutes, sometimes an hour, just to get to that next stop. I will say, obviously, it was very beautiful just to look out your window, see the beautiful water. It definitely was a trek. Each stop along the way, they will let you out, have a chance to take your pictures, see the island, see the beautiful water, really reflect on your time in Bali. And then you would usually spend about 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how the stop was. And you'd get back in the car and go to your next stop. We did get an included lunch on that day, and it was at a stop right in the middle of everything. Food was great. I will say it was extremely hot that day, but again, it was just quite an experience to see everything that Nusa Dua had to offer. On day 5, it was time to head up to Ubud from Seminyak. On the way there, we made a couple stops. Our first stop was stopping at a local market where the locals went to shop for their groceries. This was not touristy at all. It was a good opportunity to see how they shopped for their food, either for the day or for the week, and get a sense of what that was like. Then we drove about 30 more minutes to someone's house. And this was a really interesting thing of something I love about EF. They don't just keep it to touristy things all the time. They really try to educate you and immerse yourself in the culture. So one of the things we got to do is see a compound of which some of the Balinese people lived at. It was a really neat opportunity to see how a lot of the time Balinese people share a property with family. They will have individual places where their bed and living area would be, but they share different buildings as far as the kitchen goes and different living areas to all live on the same property. It's just tradition there. And then after that, we all participated in a cooking class, which was super neat. We got to see how everything was shaped within the Balinese food and culture and what went into it, the ingredients, and just why certain things are put into these dishes. It was really a neat opportunity to spend more time with the group, to cook, and to eat all of the food afterwards. And then we celebrated a traditional Balinese prayer and just reflection on life and spirituality at the end, which was really, really neat. It was a great time to just reflect and again, immerse yourself in the Balinese culture instead of doing touristy things the entire time. After the cooking class and time spent at the compound, we were able to go up into the Ubud monkey forest. It was a beautifully kept forest. I would highly recommend going to a monkey forest if you are ever in Bali. It was really cute and funny just to see the monkeys living in their natural habitat. You have to be careful though. They do warn you along the way that monkeys are smart and they know how to take your stuff. So we came in without any bags or sunglasses or anything that they can easily grab, just because they know how to mess around. It's just definitely good to keep walking, keep your stuff close to you, not have anything on you that they could easily take. The next day, day 6, was technically supposed to be a day that if you wanted to go to yoga in the morning, you could. A few of us in the group actually skipped out on this and went to a famous place where you could take the typical Balinese pictures when you're in the swings and have a beautiful dress on. And I will leave the name of that below here so you can check it out. It was a really great service that we decided to do, and we drove about 45 minutes to this place, and the price of admission included a driver that got you there and back, a rental for the dress, and for everyone to take pictures for a few hours. So the total price was about $55 for all of this, and you got to stop at different places along the way, all at the compound, to get your pictures taken. I know, super bougie, but I feel like when you're in Bali, you have to do it. The first stop was a swing. They put you immediately on a swing and start taking pictures, and then you kind of work your way down onto all of these different platforms, designs. They had a swing on there one time where you just would lay and they would take your pictures, and a couple different structures. Funniest thing of this all was that the Balinese men that were working there knew exactly how to get the angles. They knew the camera settings to get the best pictures of you. It was just awesome. Like some of the best pictures I've ever had. You can check them out. I'll post some footage here, but I'd highly recommend you making a stop here. I will say, again, it's extremely hot in Bali. We know that. I've been mentioning that a few times. So just know that when you are taking these pictures, sometimes it gets a little uncomfortable with how hot it is. They do give you a water. They do have snacks on the property. So if you needed to, I'd highly recommend either bringing your own or getting them while you're there. We spent a few hours there, got some amazing pictures, and then joined the group for the rest of the day. day. After we had our picture taking fiasco, we then joined the group with an included lunch of the day. It was some of the most amazing food we had on the trip. It was so yummy. And then after that, we went to probably one of my favorite stops, which was the rice fields, and got to take some amazing photos. We spent a good 3-4 hours at the stop where you were able to go on a swing if you would like, which I did the swing. I liked it way better than the swing we did in the morning. It felt a lot more safe and secure. And I believe that was only about $20 to get on a swing, take some pictures, and just see the views. Then we got to walk around. Some people did a zip line. Some people were able to just walk around, get different photos. And then after that was done, we headed to the next place, which was another temple tour. I will say this tour is full of temples, which was beautiful for me. I got to see traditional Balinese culture and got to see some historical sites while we were there. But I will say some of the group was a little wore out by how many we saw. So just keep in mind that is a part of the itinerary, but it was so gorgeous. We got a little history information about when we were there from our tour guide. And then we wrapped up the day after the temple tour. After the temple tour, we were able to go into Ubud for dinner. I will say Ubud had some of the best dinner places and even lunch places as well when you are there. So check out the many restaurants that they offer. We went to Dana. We had some amazing food. We had the gnocchi and some of the other like salmon and some salad. It was incredible. So I'd highly recommend Dana if you are looking for restaurants recommendation there. There are plenty of restaurants when you are in Ubud, so check them out. All right, let's get to the next day, day 7. EF planned the canyon tubing adventure, and none of us decided to go on that because we had heard from past reviews that it was just not a great activity. Very rough waters. It was leeches in the water and a little unstable platforms to physically get in the water. So after hearing that, none of us were interested in doing this activity. We ended up actually all going to the Krecha Day Club, which, oh my gosh, I would highly, highly, highly recommend this. If you are in Bali, you absolutely have to see this day club. It is unlike anything we have here. So if you go to Krecha's website, you will see many different options to book different areas of the day club. You could do what we did and rent a cabana. I believe it was about $180 for 2 people. And that whole time you get unlimited food, unlimited drinks, and you get a nice cabana where you were in the shade away from the sun, which was so amazing. There are different options. There are different sunbeds, there are hammocks, and there are different areas to rent out if you are interested at different price points and different group numbers. So some of the group did different options, totally up to you. The best thing about this is, and what I would recommend, is going in the morning early. I think we got there around 8 or 9 and we had a 5-hour day pass. So that brought us to about a little after lunch. And I would highly recommend going in the morning. It was dead in the morning. Nobody was there. Once we were leaving, it started to get really crowded. So look into going in the morning times and check out all the things that they have to offer on the site. After an incredible day, after leaving about 1 p.m., we got back to the hotel, and half the group at this time decided to go on ATV adventure. They were able to go and spend time, I think about 3 to 4 hours on an ATV. It was actually a birthday trip for me on this Bali trip, so I decided to treat myself to a 5-hour massage for only $85 US. Yes, you heard that right. Still unbelievable to me, and it was incredible. I'll show some footage here of the spot. It was called the JN Spa in Ubud. It was about a 25-minute drive from our hotel. I arranged a taxi driver to pick me up from the hotel with the help of the tour director, and he was able to pick me up when I was done with the spa. It was just incredible. It was an hour-long body massage with a body scrub. It was an hour-long facial, an hour-long massage scalp, and a blowout. And then it ended with a 45-minute foot scrub. Couldn't recommend it more. I know there's a ton of spas within Bali, so while you're here, check them out. They have great service. Obviously, they're pretty cheap, and I did not leave disappointed. All right, now we are on to day 8, almost the last day of the tour, and EF organized an optional hike up to Mount Batur, and unfortunately, we decided to not do that. A few different reasons. We had to get up at 1:30 a.m., and I believe the bus was leaving at 2 a.m. that morning to to obviously get there before the sunrise and do a hike. Some of the group still decided to go, but I just had to listen to my body. I was super tired. I was super jet lagged. We had been go, go, go the whole trip, so I decided to not go. Very unfortunate. I wish I could have toughed it out, but sometimes you just have to listen to your body and relax and not push anything when you are traveling. So we decided to sleep in that day, explore some of the markets, get lunch, and then head down to our last stop of the trip, which was Nusa Dua. Lastly, on day 9 of the trip, which was a free day in Nusa Dua, me and some of the group members decided to go to the Edge pool or 180 Day Club and experience the infinity pool on the edge of the ocean. And unfortunately, during this day, of course, it was the only day that rained about half the time. So when we got to the day club, we really only ate lunch, explored a little bit whenever it stopped raining. We would get in the pool real quick, take some photos, and go back. But something that I would highly recommend on this trip too, if you are looking to relax and just see, again, a beautiful touristy attraction, then I would definitely check out the infinity pool at the Edge. It was still incredible, even though it was raining. Beautiful views. We got some awesome pictures, and I believe it was a little bit under $100 to reserve a cabana or a seat, just like any other day club in Bali. So would recommend this. And then the rest of the day was the farewell dinner, and before that we got to see a traditional Balinese dance on the edge of the island, right overlooking the ocean, and a beautiful sunset. And it was about an hour-long dance, which we got to see. They really expressed their history, many different interpretations and dances and fire, and just a really cool opportunity to see that. And then we headed to the farewell dinner, which we all got to say goodbye, have a yummy meal, and all get ready for our really long travel day in the tour. As you can see from me going over the day-to-day itinerary, I believe EF did a really great job planning this trip out. What I would say is if you are eyeing any of these activities that I did, I would book them in advance, even if it's just a week. I would say to secure your spot. It's pretty important. We started doing things when we got to tour and noticed that things were selling out quite quickly. So my only advice would be to book things early on this trip and know what you want to do on the free days. Maybe take some of my suggestions, do some research, because there is a lot more free time on this trip than I've had in past trips. Just some quick things to note. I did go on the tour in January. I know that is technically wet season. There's wet and dry season, but I will say it is still an amazing time to go. Do not let that deter you. Another big thing to talk about is the hotels on the trip. I was so impressed with the hotels on the trip. I'll take you through the hotel in Seminyak. It was a beautiful location as far as getting to and from different restaurants and different spas. We were within walking distance of everything. The hotel was very clean. It was in a safe location and really, really cute, modern kind of facilities. And when we headed up north to Ubud, same thing. It was a beautiful hotel. All of these are typically open air, but we had amazing air conditioning in each of these places. The Ubud hotel was really nice because they had a spa on site. You'll notice that with a lot of locations. The breakfast was incredible and the rooms were very comfortable. And then down in Nusa Dua was the same line of hotel from the first one, the Tijali Hotel. And I will say we were a little less impressed with this hotel. Definitely a suggestion for EF in the future to maybe not move forward with this hotel. It was in a great location, still walking distance. I wish we were a little closer to some of the things on the southwest end of the island. We were kind of on the east side of the island, so a little bit further to get to things, but there were still restaurants within walking distance, and the hotel itself was pretty nice. Like the room and the AC was cranking, but check-in took quite a while, and they half the keys when we went up to the room weren't even working, so we had to get back down and kind of deal with that. They seemed a little disorganized at this hotel, but again, outside of all the logistics, the actual room and the hotel itself was pretty nice. They had a beautiful pool I spent a lot of time at on the last day. Something else to mention about this trip is sometimes you will hear about either stomach issues or any sort of problems with the tap water in Bali. Water is extremely chlorinated in their tap system, so you just have to be very careful. You can't brush your teeth with the water, you can't drink the tap water, and you have to be very careful with the ice that is put in drinks because it could really affect your stomach or any sort of issues there. I fortunately did not have any issues on the last day. My stomach was kind of turning. I don't know if it was the food or what it was, but I quickly took medicine and that relieved it right away. But I do know a few people on the tour unfortunately weren't affected with some stomach issues just from either accidentally drinking some water, having ice within their mixed drink, whatever the reason might be. So just make sure to take the proper medicines if you were to to have any issues, I actually bought some activated charcoal packets and Imodium and some Tums just in case this were to happen. So that is another tip, to bring some good medicines in case this does happen to you. Another cool thing I loved about Bali is just learning about the tradition. So one of the things that they do every single day is leave out this beautiful arrangement that they put together and they hand make and craft, and they leave it on the edge of either their driveway, a ledge at the end of their house, or their place of business, to give them some good luck and some good energy for the day. And so when we were walking, we got to see these everywhere. You have to be careful everywhere you walk because they are on the ground a lot of the time. Another thing to note is that cash is king in Bali. You can use your credit card on some purchases like the big day clubs and other things, but it is really nice to have the rupiah or the cash on you. You will notice that things are extremely cheap in Bali. Be prepared to spend way less than you think. I think on the entire trip, even when I was balling out doing all these excursions like you just heard me talk about, I still spent around $300 extra on the trip just from doing these excursions and from the food. Just to recap, I hope you've enjoyed me going through the day-to-day experiences, some of the interesting facts about Bali, and just what we did overall on the trip. If you wanted to book with EF, I would highly recommend it just because they make it so easy. You literally just show up, everything is planned for you. They have some of the most amazing tour directors and organization and things that is so hard to plan yourself. So if you are interested in checking out EF, again, use my code UAHannah100 to get $100 off your next trip. And just thank you again for taking the time to watch this video. If you had any questions, my socials are below. Hit me up, leave a comment, and just thank you again for your support. It really helps out, and hopefully you take a trip with EF and it is Bali in your next adventure. So thanks again for watching.